My name is Daniel. I'm 35 years old, live in Phoenix, Arizona, and up until a few months ago, I thought I had a decent life. I had a stable job in IT, a nice house with a mortgage we were steadily paying off, and a wife I'd been married to for 7 years. Her name is Brooke. She's 32, works in marketing, always had this lively spirit about her, and had a big group of friends she called her soul sisters. They'd take trips together once a year. Usually it was harmless stuff, New Orleans, Nashville, that kind of thing. At least I thought it was harmless. Everything started falling apart during her last girls' trip. She said they were going to Cabo San Lucas for one of her friend's birthdays. I didn't think much of it. I helped her pack, gave her spending money, even drove her to the airport at 4 a.m. with a big smile and a thermos of her favorite coffee. 2 days later, my life flipped upside down. It was a normal Monday. I was at work, reviewing some code, when I went to grab lunch. I stopped at a burger spot nearby, pulled out my card to pay, and it declined. Confused, I tried again. Same result. I pulled out my phone and logged into our joint account. What I saw made my hands go cold. 14 cents. That was all that was left. I refreshed the app twice, thinking it was a glitch. But no, Brooke had drained every single dollar from our joint account. Over $38,000 gone. I stood there like someone punched me in the stomach. I called her immediately, straight to voicemail. Then I texted, "Hey Brooke, something's wrong with the account. It's empty. Call me." No reply. I called again. Still voicemail. I sat back in my car, heart racing, trying to piece things together. Was she robbed? Did someone hack her? I needed to calm down. Maybe she was busy. Maybe it was all a mistake. But deep down, something didn't sit right. That night, she finally responded. But it wasn't a call. It was a text. "Daniel, I need space. I'm not coming back. I'm sorry." No explanation. No discussion. Just a cold message like I was some high school boyfriend she was ghosting. I replied, "What are you talking about? Where are you?" She didn't answer. Then I checked her Instagram. My heart sank. She had just posted a picture. Sitting by a pool, cocktail in hand, a man's arm draped across her waist. She wasn't even trying to hide it. The caption read, "Here's to new beginnings, sunrise, #freedom, #self-love." My entire body went numb. I felt like a fool. 7 years. 7 years of marriage, of shared dreams, of building a life together. And she ends it with a text during a vacation with some random guy? That night, I didn't sleep. I sat on the edge of the bed, staring into nothing. I kept going over everything. All the signs I missed. All the times she stayed late at work. All the nights she seemed distant, but I thought it was stress. I wanted to scream, cry, break something, but I didn't. Instead, I got calm. Too calm. Because I remembered something Brooke had no idea about. She didn't know I had a second savings account. Years ago, I opened it when I started freelancing on the side. I never mentioned it to her, not out of secrecy, but because I wanted it as an emergency fund. I never touched it, just let it grow. And by the time Brooke left, it had over $120,000 in it. She thought she'd left me broke and stranded. But the truth? She had no idea the storm that was coming. Because that night, as I stared at her smiling face next to some guy on Instagram, I made a decision. I wasn't just going to move on. I was going to make sure she regretted ever thinking she could burn me and walk away smiling. I was going to take everything from her that she didn't even realize she'd put at risk. Starting with her job. You see, Brooke worked for a boutique marketing firm downtown. Small team. 5 people. Her boss, Linda, adored me. I'd helped them set up their internal IT system a couple years back. Completely pro bono. Linda always said, "If you ever want a job, Daniel, just say the word." But I didn't want a job. I wanted access. And Linda had just unknowingly given me the key. That following morning, I got dressed like any other day. Except this time, I wasn't going to my office. I showed up at Brooke's workplace with a box of donuts, a friendly smile, and said I wanted to help with their social media automation tools. Linda lit up. "Of course. We've been meaning to update everything. I spent the day in their system, going over platforms, connecting analytics, and building custom dashboards. And all the while I was scanning for something. Anything. That's when I saw it. An open Slack channel between Brooke and her coworker Ethan. They weren't just coworkers. I scrolled back months. Flirty messages. Inside jokes. Late-night chats. Then the bomb dropped. Screenshots. Voice notes. Plans. Brooke had been cheating with him for over a year. And even worse, Ethan was the one in the Instagram photo. That pool she was lounging by? Ethan's vacation rental. I saved everything. Every chat. Every picture. Every damning message. I quietly transferred it to my personal drive. Nobody suspected a thing. As the sun set and I left the office with a cheerful "thanks for having me," I walked to my car and sat for a moment in the silence. My hands gripped the wheel. The files I had in my laptop were enough to ruin Brooke's career. Ethan's too. But I wasn't going to send them just yet. No, not yet. I was going to wait. I was going to hit where it hurt most. And Brooke? She was going to see it all crumble. Slowly, painfully, and realize too late that she chose the wrong person to betray. But before I could start phase 2 of my plan, something happened that changed everything. I got a call from my neighbor back home. "Daniel, you better get back here quick. Someone just tried to move into your house." My eyes widened. "What?" "It's Brooke. She's back. And she brought a moving truck." I felt my blood run cold. Brooke was back? After emptying our account, dumping me over text, and flaunting her new boyfriend online. She had the audacity to return? And with a moving truck? I thanked my neighbor, Steve, and hung up. My hands shook as I threw my laptop in the passenger seat and floored it home. The whole drive, my mind spun in a million directions. Was she moving in without asking? Did she think I'd just roll over and let her take the house too? Was Ethan with her? I pulled into the driveway and slammed the door shut before my car had even cooled off. Sure enough, a big white moving truck was parked halfway across the front lawn. The garage door was open, and there she was, Brooke, standing with her phone in one hand and a clipboard in the other, directing the movers like nothing had happened. "Hey!" I barked, stomping up the walkway. She turned, surprised for a split second, then smiled. "Oh, you're here," she said like I was an old acquaintance. "What are you doing?" I asked, jaw tight. "Just getting my things," she said calmly. "And moving into the guest house. It's only fair. I put a lot into this place too, Daniel." "Excuse me?" I took a step forward. "You left me, Brooke, on a girls' trip. Then you cleaned out our account, ghosted me, and flaunted your new guy online. Now you want to live in the guest house." She shrugged like it was no big deal. "We're still technically married. So until we figure everything out, I'm entitled to a portion of the property." I talked to my lawyer. I laughed out loud. Not because it was funny, but because of how ridiculous it was. "You don't get to betray me and then waltz back in like this is your backup plan." She folded her arms. "You really want to drag this through court? Do you know how long that takes?" Yes, I did. But what she didn't know was that I had already spoken to my own lawyer the same day she drained our account. The house, legally, was bought with my inheritance from my grandfather. Title and deed? Solely under my name. That joint account she emptied? We'd only started using it for shared expenses recently. My salary always went into my separate account, which meant her claims held no water. But I didn't tell her that. Not yet. Instead, I nodded slowly. "You want to stay in the guest house?" "Yes," she replied with confidence. "All right then," I said, stepping back with a fake smile. "Go ahead. But don't touch anything in the main house." She flashed a smug grin like she'd won something. "Fine. I'll have my things brought over. I'll only be here for a while. Just until we finalize things." I walked away, smiling to myself. She thought this was temporary. She thought I was playing checkers. But I was playing chess, and the next move was going to break her. Later that night, when the movers left and she had set up camp in the guest house, I opened my laptop and reviewed the files again. The screenshots from her Slack channel with Ethan, the digital receipts from the joint account, and the Instagram posts. I organized them into neat folders. I even color-coded them. Then I made multiple backups on the cloud on USB drives, even emailed a set to myself. It was all coming together. The next morning, I took a drive to Brooke's office again. This time, I wasn't helping with social media. I met with Linda, her boss, for lunch. We talked casually, laughed over tacos, and then I mentioned Brooke and Ethan. Linda paused. What about them? I hesitated just long enough to pique her curiosity. You know they're dating, right? Her brows furrowed. No, I didn't. That's unprofessional. I leaned back. Worse than unprofessional. There's more. And that's when I pulled out my phone. I didn't show everything, just enough to get her attention. The flirty messages on work Slack, screenshots with timestamps during business hours, and a few voice notes where Brooke joked about working overtime at Ethan's place. Linda's face was red by the end of it. This violates at least 3 of our company policies, she muttered. I handed her a small folder. You should probably have this. I wasn't sure whether to come forward, but I figured the firm deserves to know what's happening under its nose. She thanked me, but I wasn't done. That evening, I sat in the main house with a cold drink, watching from the back patio as Brooke flitted around the guest house like she owned the place. She didn't know the walls were closing in. The next day, I filed an official police report about the $38,000 she withdrew from our joint account without permission. I attached copies of the account statements and noted the exact date and time of withdrawal. Since the account was joint, it wouldn't be easy, but it would be enough to raise red flags, especially when paired with the digital trail of her flight and hotel receipts for her and Ethan. Then came the cherry on top. I called Ethan's girlfriend. Yes, he had one too. I'd found her profile while digging through Ethan's tagged photos on Instagram. Her name was Melanie. She lived about 15 minutes away and was oblivious to the entire affair. I messaged her, politely asking if she'd like to know what her boyfriend had been up to in Cabo. She replied with a confused, "What?" So I sent screenshots. All of them. Melanie was silent for a few minutes. Then she wrote, "Thank you." Later that night, I saw Ethan's Instagram go dark. All posts deleted. Then Brooke's profile turned private. But the chaos had just begun. The next morning, Brooke came storming into the main house like a hurricane. "Did you talk to Linda?" she screamed, waving her phone. I stayed seated at the kitchen counter, sipping my coffee. "Morning to you too," I said calmly. "She just suspended me," she barked. "Without pay, while they investigate. What did you do?" I looked her in the eye and smiled. "Nothing you didn't do to yourself." Her face turned white. "You're trying to ruin my life." "No, Brooke. You did that the moment you chose to betray me. I'm just holding the mirror." She slammed the door on her way out, but I knew she'd be back, because her world, it was crumbling, and she hadn't even seen the worst of it yet. That night, a strange car pulled up to the guest house. I watched from my window as Brooke got into the car, crying, holding a duffel bag. The driver? Melanie. And in the driver's seat, Ethan with a black eye. I couldn't hear their conversation, but the shouting said it all. Suddenly, Melanie threw Brooke's duffel out the door and peeled off with Ethan still inside. Brooke stood there, stunned, alone, cold, and that was when it started to rain. Brooke stood there for a long time, drenched and frozen under the porch light of the guest house, holding her phone like it might give her answers. Didn't. The duffel bag sat beside her on the soaked gravel, its contents spilling slightly onto the ground. Her makeup kit, a dress, a tangled pair of earbuds. I watched from the front window, unmoved. She didn't come back inside. Not that night. Not to say sorry. Not to explain. Not to beg. But I knew what was coming next. When the consequences finally started catching up, people like Brooke always circled back. Not out of love, but out of desperation. And I was ready. The next morning, I acted like it was just another beautiful day in Phoenix. I brewed coffee, threw on a hoodie, and went for a jog through the neighborhood. When I got back, I found Brooke sitting on the steps of the main house, arms folded, wearing the same clothes from the night before. "Can we talk?" she asked quietly. I didn't stop walking. "Daniel, please," she said. I sighed, set my water bottle down, and looked at her. Say what you need to say. She stood up, brushing her damp hair back. Her eyes were tired, makeup streaked down her cheeks. I messed up. Okay. I wasn't happy for a long time, and I made the worst choice of my life. I was scared. I thought Ethan cared about me, and I thought I needed freedom. But he turned out to be a liar. And now I've lost everything. I lost my job. I lost him. And I'm about to lose you. You already did, I said sharply. Her mouth trembled. I just need a chance to fix it. You had your chance, I said. You made your bed, now lie in it. She broke down crying. But I didn't move. I let her stand there in her tears and regret. Then I walked past her into the house and shut the door behind me. Later that day, I made the next move. I met with my lawyer, Mr. Porter, a calm, silver-haired man who had been handling estate matters since my grandfather passed. I laid out the full story, every detail. I want her off the property, I said. He nodded, reviewing the title and deed. Since the house was purchased before your marriage and with inherited funds, it is legally considered separate property in Arizona. Even if she contributed financially later, she has no standing. What about the guest house? That falls under the same property. She's technically trespassing. I smiled. Good. He handed me the papers to file a formal eviction notice. I signed them without blinking. By the time I got home, Brooke was packing up. Maybe she saw the shift in my energy. Maybe she already suspected what was coming. I'll be gone by tomorrow, she muttered as I passed her outside. I nodded, didn't say a word. But inside, I knew tomorrow was too far away. That night, I sent an anonymous tip to Brooke's firm's parent company, Corporate HR. I attached the screenshots and her Slack history again, along with the official letter from my lawyer showing the police report about the stolen funds. Why? Because Linda had only suspended her. Corporate, they wouldn't be so gentle. By noon the next day, Brooke received an official letter. Termination of employment. Immediate and final. And just like that, her career was gone. No references. No severance. No hope of bouncing to another firm in the same industry. But that wasn't even the worst part for her. Because I still hadn't touched the financial revenge. The bank account she drained? I kept every detail. And I finally got the confirmation I'd been waiting for. The DA's office had accepted the case. It was now under criminal investigation for marital theft, and a financial investigator had been assigned to it. I knew what that meant. They'd start with freezing her assets. And Brooke, bless her, had deposited part of that $38,000 into her personal savings account, thinking she was smart. She wasn't. By Friday afternoon, I received another call from Brooke. I didn't answer. She called again. Voicemail. Then a text. They froze my account. Daniel, please. I have nothing. I need help. I'm sorry for everything. Just talk to me. Please. I stared at the message. No reply. I spent the weekend doing what I hadn't done in a long time, living. I grabbed coffee with an old friend, joined a hiking group, and even signed up for a cooking class. For the first time in months, maybe even years, I felt peace. I didn't have to explain myself to anyone. I didn't have to wonder where Brooke was or who she was with. I was free. But karma wasn't done with her yet. Monday morning, I got a call from Melanie. She wanted to thank me. Apparently, after kicking Brooke out, Ethan had tried to crawl back to her. She didn't just say no. She blasted him on social media, posted every screenshot, every confession, every flirtatious exchange Brooke and Ethan thought was private. She tagged Brooke, Ethan, and even the company they used to work for. The post went viral in the local scene. Brooke's name was now dirt across the marketing community. Clients started pulling out of projects Ethan had been involved in, and he was let go from his position by the end of the day. I could have stayed quiet. But people like Brooke always believe they're untouchable until you remind them that the quiet ones remember everything. And if that wasn't enough, the court date for the marital theft hearing had been set. She was officially facing charges. Petty? Maybe. Deserved? Absolutely. Still, part of me wondered if I should be done. Was it enough? Had I made my point? Then I got one final message from Brooke. A photo of us. From 5 years ago. At the beach, she had sent it with just one line. I wish I could go back. But some things, you don't get to go back from. Because some choices, they come with receipts. And Brooke? She was paying in full. But just when I thought it was over, just when I thought Brooke had finally learned her lesson, something happened that nearly flipped everything on its head. I received a letter in the mail from her attorney, a counterclaim. She was suing me for emotional distress. I held the letter in my hands, standing in the middle of my kitchen, stunned. Emotional distress? I read the document again, slower this time, trying to make sense of what I was looking at. Brooke, after draining our account, cheating with Ethan, getting herself fired, evicted, and now facing criminal charges, was trying to sue me for the pain she caused herself? The document was official. It had her attorney's name, firm, and contact information. She claimed I maliciously caused public humiliation by sharing private messages and details with her employer and others. The complaint said her reputation, mental well-being, and career had been damaged beyond repair. And the kicker? She wanted $100,000 in damages. I nearly laughed, not out of humor but out of disbelief. Was this some kind of twisted game to her? Or was she just so far gone in denial that she actually thought she was the victim? I picked up the phone and dialed Mr. Porter. She's suing you? He said, equally baffled. Yup. Well, she's in for a rude awakening. He scheduled an emergency meeting for the next morning. I showed up with every document we'd compiled, screenshots, withdrawal logs, the criminal report, and now the corporate firing statement from her employer. He skimmed through it all, then shook his head. This is laughable, Daniel. You didn't post anything publicly. Everything went through appropriate legal channels. And most of what she's calling private was happening on her workplace's communication platform. He leaned back and grinned. She handed you everything. All we have to do now is walk into that courtroom and watch her get roasted. But Mr. Porter wasn't just a man of logic. He was a man of strategy. And he had one more card to play. Let's countersue, he said casually. For what? He tapped the criminal report. Attempted financial fraud. Unauthorized use of marital funds. And let's add slander while we're at it. She posted about you online, implying you were emotionally abusive and controlling. She what? I blinked. He turned his laptop to show a cached version of Brooke's now-deleted Instagram story. There it was, plain as day. A post from 3 weeks ago. Free at last. No more walking on eggshells. Sometimes the people you marry turn out to be the ones who break you the most. That was enough. We filed our response and our own claim that same afternoon. The total? $200,000. Let her chew on that. Over the next few weeks, things escalated. Brooke tried to delay the court date. Her lawyer tried to negotiate. They called Mr. Porter's office 3 times asking if I'd consider mediation. Each time, the answer was no. I didn't want a settlement. I wanted it on record. She'd humiliated me in silence, behind my back. But now, the courtroom would be my speaker. The day of the hearing arrived. The courtroom wasn't huge, just a local civil court in downtown Phoenix. But to me, it felt like the Super Bowl. Brooke showed up looking tired, dressed in gray, hair pulled back like she was trying to play the sympathy card. Her lawyer looked confident until he saw the stack of files we brought in. It was a short session. Brooke's team tried to paint me as vengeful, emotionally manipulative, and obsessive. Then Mr. Porter stood up and presented our timeline, evidence, and most importantly, intent. Not once did I post anything publicly. Not once did I act outside the law. Every step had been calculated, legal, and provable. The judge reviewed the emails, bank statements, employment records, and even the deleted social media post. And then she looked at Brooke. You stole $38,000, cheated on your husband, lost your job due to professional misconduct, and now you're suing for emotional distress caused by your own behavior. Brooke's face crumpled. The judge turned to her lawyer. Unless you have a stronger argument, I'm inclined to dismiss this with prejudice. Her attorney stammered. No, Your Honor. And Mr. Daniels' counterclaim? Valid, the judge said. Trial will continue in 60 days unless the parties reach a private resolution. Brooke was silent. Outside the courtroom, she finally approached me. Daniel, she said, her voice shaking, can we please stop this? Can we just settle and move on? I looked her in the eye. I begged you to talk to me, to explain, to come home and be honest. And you ghosted me, Brooke. You left me to drown while you drank cocktails in Cabo. Tears welled in her eyes. I know. I'm sorry. I'm not, I said. You taught me something. You taught me that even the person you trust most can stab you in the back and smile while doing it. She bit her lip. I don't want to destroy you, Brooke, but I will protect myself. I walked away, and this time I didn't look back. 60 days passed. We didn't settle. She tried to back out of the case entirely, but the court proceeded without her. And the verdict? I was awarded $186,000 in damages. She didn't have that kind of money, so the court ordered garnishment of her future income, liquidation of her personal savings, and a lien on any future property she might purchase. I didn't celebrate. I didn't post about it. I didn't even tell my friends. I just went home, sat on my porch, watched the sunset, and smiled. Because revenge isn't about destroying someone. It's about making them watch you thrive without them. And Brooke? She'd be watching for a long, long time. Moral of the story: never mistake silence for weakness. Never assume the person who loves you the most won't be the same person who brings your lies to light. Always be kind, always be honest, because karma takes notes. And sometimes, it shows up with a lawyer. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more epic tales of revenge, justice, and redemption. What would you have done in Daniel's shoes? Drop your thoughts below.